I do the countdown. We're going to do the introduction. It's going to be a basic. Can y'all not really right now? See, I can see it as Maki pointed out. So I'm on top in the what?
I don't know what I did
snorted. That was so cute.
It's me. Y'all are already bugging.
It's going to be a great panel. Before I introduce myself, I would love to introduce my panelists. So we're going to start off with Kitsu.
Hey.
Wait, hey, I'm King Kitsu.
Where the main antagonist is tattooing.
I'm sorry, Lavender's beating my ass right now.
Before I introduce myself, I'd like to introduce her. I'm sorry, Kitsu. I'm just looking at you and you're just so comfortable. Yeah. I love it.
I'm a forced dude. Jax. The silent laughter.
I'm so sorry. What's up, y'all? Welcome to our panel. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Jax-Prince. I am the host of tonight's panel. And before I introduce, God damn it. Allow me to introduce my amazing panelists. We're gonna start off with Kitsu. Introduce yourself, my dearest love.
Hello, I'm King Kitsu.
Oh,
I'm 27 years young. I'm a Georgia local, Libra. I cosplay. I do a little sex work on the side, you know what I'm saying? I am a female to male transgender male, so you know. Back at you.
And on to our next panelist, we've got the iconic Maki role. Go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience, honey.
I'm Maki. I am out of DC. I do a little bit of everything. I'm kind of just like in this weird span of like gig work forever. I don't know. I cosplay. I do burlesque. I am the current producer of the Nerdless Festival, so that is pretty cool. I also do a dabble of sex work. I am a dancer. I am now doing a little bit of like stylist wardrobe work on the side. So I kind of go where my creative brain takes me. And many times my canvas is myself.
And so as for myself, my name is Jax-Prince. My pronouns are they, them. I am non-binary transgender, assigned female at birth, because I get that question a lot. I am based out of LA. I am 32 years old. I am based out of LA, just moved here for voice acting. I do so much. I work for North Caesar. I do things for Black Girls Anime. I write, I'm a screenplay writer, I'm a manga writer. I just do a lot. And I'm also a sex worker. My specialty in sex work is escorting or GFE, so girlfriend experience. And BDSM are my biggest ones. So I'm a professional dominatrix, and I'm also a nerd and a cosplayer, and just everything busy person, very busy person. So that is who we are, and we wanted to bring you this panel to kind of show you what that intersectionality of Black, of queer, of trans, of sex work, of nerd, what that looks like, because you never quite know who is listening to you talk specifically about sex workers. And I feel like people never realize, hey, your opinion really could be very narrow-minded of what you think a sex worker is and what you think a sex worker does. And I blame mainstream media for that, I really do. But before we get into that, I do want to ask you guys a couple of questions, starting off with Kitsu. What initially got you into being a nerd, and how did that initially transition over to sex work? Same question for you too, Maki.
Wow, that is a good ass question.
Right?
That is a good question, because it's like, how do you go from like watching Naruto and being obsessed with like Naruto and Sasuke to like cosplaying Naruto bent over, ass spread out, and like taking videos of yourself? I never asked myself that.
I love it. Well, now I am curious.
God.
Now, when you phrase it like that, I am dying to know. Like,
moi.
Like, please, like, what was that process like? I'm very curious to see everybody's progress.
That's crazy, because of course, like, I go way back watching anime. Like, I started off everybody's like, oh, I started off with Dragon Ball Z, I started off with Sailor Moon, I started off with Inuyasha. I was low-key a furry before I knew it. So, and then of course I became obsessed with Naruto. That part was true. So was spreading as cosplaying as Naruto. But yeah, no, I fell deep into like Shonen Jump. Like it was like a safe haven for me because I was like, wow, Naruto's so misunderstood and he's bullied and people just don't get him, but he still likes to make friends. And I'm a light skint in Georgia and I'm too black for white people, but too white for black people. I can't make friends like that. But yeah, no. I bonded over Naruto. And then in high school, I cosplayed for the first time and was like, wow, this shit fire. I like this shit. And I noticed that girls, like certain girls at conventions were like in lingerie. And I was like, wow, that shit kind of fire. I kind of, wait a minute, like, say less. Yeah, I don't know. It's something about having an attachment with a character, but having with an attachment with how you look as a character, and then seeing yourself in some nice, like little skimpy little outfit as said character, and you're just like, I'm onto something. Self-confidence type journey where it's just like you go from loving, I don't know, anime, of course, and then it becoming like part of your personality and whatnot, and then you find your own self-confidence, and you take like, oh, I like anime or I like cosplaying, but I also like myself. I like my body. I like how I look when I dress up, when I handcraft something from scratch and put it on. Like it transitions as you grow up, because of course you can't stay in that mindset of like, oh, anime is for kids. Like it grows along with you. And I just so happen to grow into a nasty ass nigga, so
Yes! Speak on it. I fucking love it. I am so here for this energy. Like, Maki, you look like you have something you would just love to say, and I would love to hear it. Kitsu, thank you so much for that honesty and openness and just wonderfulness. All right, let's go, Maki. I'm so ready for this.
So I got into anime when I was in middle school, and through anime, I got into a little thing called fan fiction. And through fan fiction, I discovered hentai. And so real early in my anime journey, I kind of discovered the nasty shit. And also HBO played this, I will never forget it. There was this hentai called Wicked City, and I was up real late at night. And I remember this because my mom used to work nursing, and I was up real late at night. And I used to do the shit where your last shit was Nickelodeon or some shit.
The other shit would be
Animal
Planet. Real sex or some shit. You said it.
Yes. Yeah. And so Wicked City was on, and this girl was having sex with this old man, and then suddenly her vagina turned into teeth, and then she turned into a whole spider. And I was just like, continue. So through that, I kind of grew into an anime nerd. My first cosplay was in high school. It was Kikyo from Inuyasha because I'm sorry, I'm a Kikyo stan down. I am
Honestly,
a Kikyo stan.
Same. I feel her.
And my mother, she didn't understand the concept, didn't know what cosplay was, but she used to create all of our costumes. I have 2 siblings. She used to create all of our costumes when we were younger for Halloween. So to her, she was like, bet, I get to sew. I get to do this thing with you. I don't know what it is. It's kind of weird, but that's fine. And so she also used to take me and my friends to our first anime conventions. So really, really early, I got that experience. And it was just really fun. Like I had a shitty wig. Like my outfit was great because my mom made it, but like everything else was like from Party City, but it was just really enjoyable. And it was something that I knew I wanted to have in my life in some way forever. You know, I always wanted to have nerd shit in my life forever. And as I was cosplaying, I was also doing modeling, and I was also just like doing other shit because I was young and I wanted to do other weird things. And I was involved in a zombie pinup calendar. And through that, I got into burlesque. And then through that, I learned about nerdlesque, which is basically burlesque, except for with cosplay, but not really, because there's like a like theater element to it. And I was just like, you mean to tell me? Of course, I kind of skipped all of the like there's theater and there's all this, and I was like, I get to take off my clothes as my favorite anime character, as like my favorite comic book character, and like there's money involved. Like there's money involved, like a little bit of money. I didn't know, like I was just like ready to do it for free, but they were like, no, you can make money doing this. And I was like, got it. So through nerdlesque, I really blossomed and kind of found myself as a performer, as a performance artist, as a sexual being, as someone who can just tell a story with my body. And for me, that was kind of the most fascinating thing about nerdlesque and about sex work, is this ability to not only make it what you want, but you get to tell a story and you get to create this fantasy. And whether you create this fantasy based on something that exists, or you just create your sex worker persona, like that in itself is really, really cool, and one of the things that I enjoy about sex work. And so I think that's why I really enjoy finding those different ways to kind of connect nerdiness to sex, because nerds like sex.
Very well said. Nerds like sex. Y'all need to remember that, y'all. All right, I like
Nerds
that.
nasty.
Nerds nasty. I fucking love it. Like, and so I will say for my part, I cosplayed for the first time. I think I was out of high school, because I was out of high school but still living at home. And I remember because my parents would have the same reaction. And my first cosplay was Kanu from Battle Vixens, or Iki Tosin. So I was really trying to hoe it up for my very first one. No, I'm lying. My first cosplay was Oka from Dot Hat, her manga version costume. So, and that's also how I knew I was gonna be a fucking furry, because obviously she's a werewolf and it was a fur bikini. And I'm just like, I didn't know I was a furry. I was a furry back then. I didn't realize it, but I'm just like, all right. And of course my parents looked at me just like, where are you going in that whatever the fuck you're wearing? I have put some clothes on, and I'm just like, I'm going to a convention. And somehow we started talking about Satan. Somehow, I swear to God, the conversation just sprung into Satan. I'm just like, you know what? I'm going with my friends, and they're just like, you hang out with too many white people. And that was literally the end of the conversation. And so I just went to the convention, and I enjoyed the experience so much. It was my first convention. I got so overwhelmed though. The sensory overload was so real. But then I also remember seeing like people who were cosplaying hentai characters. That my very first cosplay of a hentai character was seeing a girl cosplay Angel Blade. And I just remember the intricacy because, oh my God, let me get to Angel Blade in a second. And I just remember like how you're so confident because my bikini was barely a bikini. I was still covered up. I was still somewhat modest, but her, she had the titties and the ass and the thighs and the corset to make just everything accentuate. And I'm just like, I want to dress like you, whatever level you're on, I want to. And I was so enamored. But to me, seeing that in live and living color was huge. The biggest reason though, was because she was a trans woman and Angel Blade is a Futanari hentai character. So for me, seeing that real and happen, I'm just like, this has confirmed a lot of things for me. One, I'm not straight. Two, I'm not cisgender. And three, I wish I had a dick. Like that's pretty much like a lot of what hentai just pretty much taught me as far as like what I used to get into, because I got into my first anime straight up was Crying Freeman. I wish I could say it was something happy like Sailor Moon or Inuyasha, but it was dark and it was ridiculous and it was a crime drama with so much sex. And I just remember thinking, I've never seen sex animated before. And it left, when I say it left an impact on me to this day, the thing that I will associate with Crying Freeman is why I was able to ease into hentai in the first place. It was right there in front of me, and why I love tattoos, because there's this whole ceremony where like where the main antagonist is tattooing.
I'm sorry, Lavender's beating my ass right now. I'm so sorry. Beating my ass, y'all.
Getting into hentai and stuff like that because I got into it very young. I got into it super young, and I just remember seeing, what was it? Taimanin Asagi, I believe, was my first official hentai, and I just remember it because one, it was extremely violent and graphic. It was let's throw some trigger warnings real quick. Let's throw some trigger warnings. Like a good majority of hentai, we will say that it was very not consensual. And so that just left a big impact on me. That's when I really started like realizing, okay, all right, like this is porn and it's animated and it's doing things to me. Let me sit with this and let me figure out like, is this normal? And then like I realized the rest of my friends were just as like freaky as I was. So of course they had already seen this shit and they're just like, wow, you're fucking late. And I'm just like, oh, okay, so I'm the only one who didn't know. That's cool. Okay, and so they put me on to more stuff and they sent me all the websites. And I swear to God, seeing Sailor Moon with a penis really did things to me. Because like, and I wish I could say I was joking. I wish I could say I was joking because I was just like, anytime I saw specifically Futanari hentai, I got body issues and I got horny. And I was just like, I need to sit with this and process this. What does this tell me about me? And so I had my come to Jesus moment when I realized, all right, if I could have my perfect fucking body, I would absolutely want to be a Futanari. I would want to have it all. I'd want to have both a dick and a vagina and tits. And I would want to have that. And one of my friends literally, she was just like, you're fucking transgender. And I'm just like, no, I'm not. And this is when I was still denying it. After all that, I know, I see the look on your face. I know after all that, I look back and I cringe. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And then she's like, bitch, no straight person, no straight cisgender person wishes they had a penis. Like nobody wishes that. I'm just like, well, like, and I was still trying
to. Jax, have you seen like the pictures of the procedure to get a penis?
I have. I've looked into bottom surgery. If I've looked into it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's a fruit roll up. Don't do it. They take, okay, Maki, to explain it in a nice, short, simple way, they take like a slab of your skin from either your thigh or your forearm, depending on how big you want it. It can be both if you want to go hard or go home. And they roll it up like a fruit roll up, like just roll it up and pop it on there. They connect everything. Like you could pee it, you could get well, you can't really get a boner like naturally. You can use a penis pump, you could like orgasm from it and everything, but it's literally a fruit roll up from your thigh. Like you could like even have your old tattoo on it and everything.
Oh damn it. That is so funny, but it's so discouraging at the same time.
I've learned.
I looked into it. If it makes you feel better, I looked into it because I was like, man, a penis.
A penis. A penis.
I want one of those. I looked into it and I was like, oh. Am I? I'm good.
See, that's kind of what stopped me. Like, I wanted to work like the real thing. I wanted to look and work like the real thing, while I could still keep what I have. Because as far as how I got into sex work, and how that connects just to anime and hentai and shit in general, was because I had someone who was very much into BDSM, everything like that. And he was this white guy named Mr. And because I almost said his name, and he was an attractive white guy. Like, I thought he was cute. Like, you know, he was all muscular and he had like a mohawk and shit like that. I thought he was hot. And he's just like, so if you wanted to like ever hook up, I mean, I'd pay you for it, of course. And then I had to sit with it. How do I feel about letting you fuck me? Like, because you would literally be the only other person I've ever had sex with aside from my like then boyfriend, and we had already broken up. He was my high school sweetie. And I was like, sure, why not? And he's just like, so I'm into some things. And I'm like, what are you into? And he's like, so I have a question for you, and I'll never forget it. And I will never forget it because this set a precedent for the rest of my life up to what to expect of kinky fucking white men in my entire life. I swear to God, if you are a white cisgender male, I think you think like this regardless. I'm so sorry. And you can't change my mind. He wanted this fantasy. Oh, I wish I could say I was making this up. He wanted this fantasy where he would be being pegged by a Black woman.
Yep.
And
Yep.
made to apologize for all of the horrible things that white people have done to Black people.
I dated somebody like that when I was 20.
Rise and pay pig. Drax! Do you remember that pay pig?
Oh,
both of y'all just went somewhere. Y'all good?
Oh. I hear warplanes. I hear WW2 warplanes in the background and explosions.
And cheap boots.
All right. We're gonna come back to him because we're going to explain what not to do as a sex worker. I think I'm like, we're gonna talk about this man. Let me make a fucking note of it. We're going to talk about this man. Like, we will talk about this in the how not to be shitty to sex workers segment. But long story short, oh my God, cheap boots. There we go. That's literally the note, cheap boots. That is the note. So, Jesus Christ, that took me back. But I was like, I have literally never even like, but here's why I want to say it's fucked up. The only other time I'd ever seen a strap on in my entire life, in real life, was in my dad and my stepmom's closet. I wish I could say I was joking. I wish I could say I was kidding, y'all. I cannot make this up. Because me and my sister were being nosy and shit. We're sisters. We're going through like our parents' shit. Like,
I did that shit too.
Home, like whatever. Like, let's see what type of porn dad watches and whatever. And it's all specifically ass porn. And there's a lot to unbox with that. Let me sum it up real quick. So my first experience was with this guy who paid me to want to peg him. And we just happened to bring the cosplay into it because Kanu was a schoolgirl and it worked. And I'm just like, all right. So I pegged him with it and he paid me good money for it. And that's when I realized I really, really enjoy this. Like, at first I was just like, did that just happen? Yeah, that just happened. That's not something I thought I'd ever do in my life. But then I was just like, but he paid me really well. And I liked it. I liked the domination aspect of it. I'm just like, all right, this is officially awoken something in me. I want to get paid doing this. How do I do it? And he would be my quote unquote plug because there aren't very many chances you can get into BDSM in the fucking Midwest. But he would be my plug into that. And that's how I started getting more gigs and becoming more, ingrained in doing BDSM. And when I finally moved to Los Angeles, that's when I got professional training to be like a dominatrix. And this was like almost 10 years ago. I trained at a dungeon, which looks like your grandma's house. It's literally like just this cute little Matilda-esque Miss Honey house with flowers all over it. You wouldn't even know, but it's a dungeon with like 6 or 7 rooms in it. And I started out as a sub. I was the only Black girl working there at the time when I was still identifying as a girl. I was the only Black girl working there. And the thing about that was they didn't hire very many Black girls because they straight up said, people like to see their handiwork. And you can't mark, it takes a lot of effort to mark dark skin. I'm like, I can contest that, But that was their reasoning for why they didn't have a lot of Black, women working. And I'm just like, well, I'm not going to stay a sub forever. I want to be a dom. That's what I'm here for. And I want to bring in more submissives. So if you let me do this the right way, we can work with each other, because I want more people in the lifestyle. So they trained me, and I got to go to different like fetish conventions and go to Folsom Street, go to California, or not go to California, got to go to San Francisco, New York. And I got to train in all of these dungeons and just learn so much about the lifestyle, and that it's more than just whips and chains, and it's psychological, and me loving psychology and sociology and everything that has to do with it, that I felt was the best avenue for me as a sex worker. Now that we've discussed how we got into it and how anime and sex work and just nerd stuff in general intersects into how we operate as sex workers, I suppose my next question would be, what's something that you want people to understand about the intersectionality of anime, not manga, video games, just nerd culture, and being a sex worker?
Nerds love sex, and that's okay that nerds love sex. And one of the things that I have found in being a sex worker is when you talk to the people who follow your work or your clients, a lot of them are just really, really normal. And a lot of them just really, really want to talk to someone who is attractive or someone that they admire creatively. And I think that's one of the things that I also enjoy as, as someone whose joy and love is creative expression, and what that creative expression does to other people, which is a reason why I love performing Nerdlesque. I love producing Nerdlesque. And it's just to see people comfortable in spaces where they can open up even a little bit sexually, or feel comfortable sexually, even if it's as small as being inspired by someone on the stage, because even those performers, like they feel good and they feel empowered hearing that from the audience. And likewise, when you're performing a specific sexual service for someone, so I mean, and just to share a recent story, I was at an event where it was a cosplay themed kink event, and this married couple, the wife, who was dressed as Nezuko, paid for a lap dance for her husband, who was dressed as Zenitsu. And literally the entire time, as I was giving this dude a lap dance, we were talking about anime. And it was there's like literally Cardi B up is going in the background. I am busting ass. And I was like, okay, so who's your best boy? I need Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero, Demon Slayer, let's go. Like you only have this amount of time, and I'm sorry, baby, but your song is up. It's kind of short. Come on. But it was just a really good experience. And then afterwards, I was just like, A, I can't believe I get paid to do this. B, what a wholesome thing, because I've just given this really weeby couple this experience where they feel safe and they feel affirmed, and they feel like just for this moment, they can let their guard down sexually. And I enjoy that, and I wish more people would appreciate sex work as an art form, and specifically how it relates to nerd culture, because there's a reason why a lot of femme characters and female characters, women characters are dressed in nothing. There's a reason for that. And I think with sex work, and specifically with nerdy sex work, we're allowed to undress that a little bit more, and we're allowed to put a little bit more of ourselves into that. And I think that's what people enjoy about nerdy sex workers. So
That's what I think.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
I couldn't answer the question because my experience is pretty much based off of me being trans. It's not based off of me being like a cosplayer or a nerd. Like people come to me because I'm trans and that's the first thing that they see. But my answer like is pretty much along the lines of just like, yeah, like sex in general should not be seen as like anything taboo. Like it's completely natural. And that's come from me, like asexual all my entire life. And I'm just now exploring my sexual life, I guess. I'm just now getting comfortable with things that I didn't even think I would ever get comfortable with. And like I'm not born and raised in Georgia, but pretty much raised in Georgia majority of my life, where we are literally brainwashed to think male, female, get married, have kid, that's it. Like nothing else. Like my sex education wasn't even about like barely learning about condoms. It was literally like, if you have sex before you're married, you're gonna get cottage cheese dick and it's gonna fall off. Like that's literally it. And growing up, it was really wild meeting people who were so open about just their bodies in general, just their body, their sexuality, and who they like actually are. And like honestly, I wish people went into sex work with that mindset of just like that confidence. Like I don't have to keep this hush hush. I could go to a professional who I don't have to hide anything from. I don't have to be insecure. I can just be like, hey, I like feet. And then they'll be like, biggity bet, you want fishnets? You want some sheer socks on? You want heels? Like you get options instead of being ridiculed for it. Like, and same when it comes to me being trans. Like there are, of course, like certain little areas that like I'm just like, hey, chill out with all that. Like, of course, the whole like she-male thing, like, oh, I want like a she-male. It's just like, okay, none of that. But it's just like, if somebody were to come to me and just be like, yeah, I want to see, you know, a boy with a functioning coochie, like, you know, just explore a little bit. It's just like, okay, cool. Like, what's up? I'm your dude. Like, it's, I wish it was just that type of comfortability and also the welcoming energy in return. Like, everybody just thinks that it's forbidden and Christianity, abstinence, like, and it's just like, no, like, I feel like everybody doesn't truly live their life unless they discover something a little nasty about themselves. Like, ain't no way you sit here just having missionary every night. Come on, man. Hit him with the mating press.
Woof.
Listen, I hear you guys completely. You guys made some incredible points, and just to kind of close out this part of it, something I would really like people to know when it comes to the intersectionality of sex work and everything, because something I forgot to mention is I was a cosplay deviant, and that was one of my bigger forays in a suicide girl. And I remember that was one of my more biggest forays into sexy cosplay and stuff like that. And I remember the first set I shot, and I remember being shamed for it. Like, why would you want to do sex and cosplay? Like, I'm just like, so you mean to tell me you look at this character and you're like, whatever's going on down there doesn't get like any kind of moist or whatever is going, like, you mean to tell me you really don't think that? And then I looked at Cosplay Deviant's numbers and they were ridiculous. Like, they were stupid. The amount of people who just subscribe to this, just wanting to see their favorite cosplay characters just go above and beyond, just like straight up. We had sets with everybody of all genders, and that's one thing I loved about Cosplay Deviants, is that they weren't just, you know, one gender. They had everybody. So I remember thinking, why is that such a big thing? You know, like, why is it such a big thing? Because I love anime, I love manga. So I love video games, maybe if I do want to cosplay this character, what's wrong if I'm expressing, myself sexually and creatively? Because that's how I build my confidence up. Like, that's where my confidence lies, in both my sexuality and how I also present as a sex worker in my profession. So case in point, I was just talking to Maki about how I'm going to Anime NYC and I would like to do the girlfriend experience thing there, because I get so many questions about people being like, so what is the girlfriend experience? How is it different than escorting? And I want people to experience that because, oh my bad, the reason I chose girlfriend experience is because to me, it's more intimate than just escorting. My experience in an escort has been, I just pretty much want to fuck, I'm going to pay you, boom, bam, that's it, you're done. With a girlfriend experience, there's a lot more intimacy involved. There's kissing involved. There's you listening to their worries and their complaints and just being a partner for them. So I guess it should be more or less for me a partner experience, but because 9 times out of 10, like, if I say something like partner experience or girlfriend, they won't understand it. But if I say girlfriend experience, that's kind of more understood. So I hate that it's still very gendered as far as sex work. But the one thing that I would say that I would like people to get into, or not get into, but just really understand, is that we are real people who you see on the internet, on the social media and stuff like that. There are real people behind that. We are more than just your sexual fantasy, your fetish, or whatever it is. We will do things for you, but you can't stop to forget for 1 second that we are real people and we're providing you with a service. Sex work is work. And the last thing that I really want to touch upon, because I know we're coming upon our time, is if you want to get into this line of work, but it's work. And it can be a lot mentally and emotionally. It can come with burnout. And you will meet some unpleasant people doing it. Now that perfectly segues into, let's talk about cheap boots. Let's talk about, let's talk about.
Please. I'm interested in this cheap boots story.
The purpose of this particular segment.
Every time Kitsu just slicks the hoodie.
Like, just like it's about to get interesting. This portion of the panel is specifically for, here's how not to be shitty to sex workers, especially if a lot of your sex workers are nerds, you see them at conventions and stuff, and you want to whatever, this is what you don't do.
Wait, pause. Before we get into this, I just want to say that the girlfriend experience thing, that sounds like an amazing idea. I would love to try that out one day. But like, why can't it be like significant other experience?
They just, because it was originally, and I hate to say this, but I think it was because it was originally just a branch off of escorting, to where people wanted that specific experience, like pretty much just with women. It's not like you have a lot of boyfriend experiences, but I have guy friends who do that. They pretend to be, like, and they get paid for it. Like, and my clients are men, women, transgender people. So typically I will call it, if I say girlfriend experience, I mean it like to be all encompassing. So I really do want to get more people into it. I'd love to talk more about it. I like, no joke, like, you guys can ask me all the questions about it, because I do want people to try it at least once, and it's good money. You can charge hourly, you can charge a flat rate, you can charge for whatever you want.
Go to LA and try this out.
Listen, if you are trans, this is the last thing I'm gonna say on this before we get to the cheap boots. If you are transgender and you are a sex worker, LA is a great place for you to be, because I don't have to hide the fact that I am non-binary and trans. I straight up say I'm non-binary and trans. You're not getting a girl or a woman or a female sex worker. You're
literally getting an experience.
You're getting an experience. So you're paying for that. But go ahead, Maki. I'm sorry. Cheap boots.
Yes.
Here's how not to be an asshole.
Oh. And I think this is one of those things that also kind of turned me away from doing sex work for a long time, and it is these weird white dudes on the internet with money.
You mean 80% of the internet?
Yeah.
Oh, you said with money. I'm sorry. 40% of the internet.
Who kind of fancy themselves, whatever position that they take in the BDSM community and the kink community, they fancy themselves one of those people with money. And this particular person happened to be a pay pig. But what he would do is he would specifically target Black femme cosplayers who would do kind of like sexy cosplay.
I think I've heard of this before. I think I've had some friends send screenshots to me like,
I wouldn't be surprised. He was a real fucking pain. He
was it was serial. And he would send all of us the same boots. He would send all of us the same shit. And he would poke to see which ones of us would like actually do the pay pig thing for real. And me, I was just like, oh, he's gonna give me shmoney. He's gonna give me these boots that I can use for cosplay. Cool. Because I would take the boots and flip them shits into cosplay boots.
Right.
But he lured me because he had money, and he lured me into crossing boundaries that I didn't know that I needed and that I didn't know that I had. And suddenly I was doing video calls with him where I was berating him and calling him a little white fish and just like all this shit, where afterwards I was like, cool, I get these boots and this money, but this brings no gratification to me at all. And I think being exposed to that really young and not really having a foundation where I felt safe to go to someone and be like, hey, how do I do this for real? Kind of really impacted or stunted rather, I guess, my growth in sex work. Because I feel like I kind of took like patches, but specifically with that guy, I also didn't, because he did this within the cosplay scene, I didn't know where to look for red flags or who to ask, is this person legit? And everyone who was dealing with them, they were the same, we were all just cosplayers who he was like picking out of a thing. And so with doing sex work now, I'm very, very discerning about who I let into my community, and even recognizing my kind of sex work. I don't know if it's really woo-woo to be like, this is a community, but it is a community, especially if you have a sub-site or something like that. It is something that you cultivate, and being able to have kind of a hold on the people that you let into that space, I think that really makes it a better experience. But definitely if something seems off or something seems uncomfortable, chances are it is. And also, if you see that there are other people who are dealing with someone who is or who seems unsafe, reach out to them. And don't be afraid to reach out to multiple people about people. And that's the story of cheap boots.
Oh my God. In short, don't be him. Don't be cheap boots, especially because, again, like I said, we're nerds. You're 9 times out of 10, you're going to come across us in these convention spaces. If you are interested in working with us like that, the first thing I'm going to do, not walk up and say, and pull us off to the side and be like, hey, how much for this, that, and the third, while we're at the convention surrounded by other people who may not know. Like, I swear to God, like, this is one of the most uncomfortable situations you could be in. Do not do that shit. Don't do it. You don't realize the danger you could be putting somebody in by straight up walking to them and propositioning them like that. Like, like I said, don't get it like, because I know we're running short on time. The one thing I cannot stress enough, don't get it twisted. How we are on social media and everything like that, we may be almost completely different in person. Like, I'm loud, I'm bombastic, I'm energetic and everything like that. But when it comes to being in person, I'm quiet, I'm anxious, and I'm autistic, and I'm just like, I need to feel the room first. Like, unless I know you really well, like Maki or like Kitsu or whatever like that, I'd be perfectly fine. I'm like, okay, these are my people. But if I don't know you and I'm just like, don't come up to us like that. Approach us with respect and find a good time for it, and say, like, even if you just want to maybe message us or something like that, say, hey, I had a question about this, that, or the third. Can I contact you about this? Even if it's just, you wanting to learn about sex work and what it is that you do, be honest and open about it and know the timing is right. And I'm only saying this convention season is coming up, but like I said, I know we're running a long time. If there was anything else you guys wanted to add as far as the experience of being sex workers, being queer, being Black in this space, and how you plan on, what do you plan on doing, I guess, going forward?
What?
That hard ass blink.
Oh, I didn't see it. I missed it. Damn it.
You were like, being Black in this community. Maki was like,
oh shit.
no, it's okay. I did it in my brain. I was like, man, that's a whole nother hour.
That's a whole nother hour of it. But let me see. Let me think of like, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, honey.
Oh no, I was about to say, with the situation that Maki was just talking about, I feel like if you're targeting specifically like cosplayers, like you should understand that like cosplaying is not cheap. Unless you following, some dollar party city hoes out there with their little Amazonian outfits and shit. I mean, if you won't be cheap, but like, look, a good lace front to match that character that you like, more than like a little $60, okay? Like, if you're targeting cosplayers, especially trying to lure them out with money, you better be paying cosplayer money. I mean, like covering wigs, outfits, contacts, like convention badges, travel. Like, being a cosplayer is not cheap, and especially being a sex worker and cosplayer is not cheap. Like,
yeah,
no.
At all.
Sex workers are not here to be your, like, the ass of your jokes. Like, we're not here to be your political commentary. We're not here to, be your martyrs. We're here to perform a service, and we're here to do the shit that we enjoy and put the things that we enjoy into the world. And some of us are fucking doing this for survival. And let all of that be enough. All of that should be reason for you to destigmatize whatever the fuck you think about sex workers and you think about sex work. Because someone is a sex worker, whether they're out about it or not. And it's, we're here, we've been here, we're always going to be here. And as a nerdy sex worker and as someone who produces, sexual experiences and events, invest in Black folks who are doing things in this space. Because there are so many of us who are doing amazing fucking things and we are not getting recognition. So divest your coins from those white creators that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, because they're always going to make hundreds. Yes, they're always going to be making that money. They're always going to have that built-in funnel of support because of who they are. And there are a lot of us who, if given some of that, can flip the fucking shit and flip the game. And I really think, as in all things, that is what a certain subsection of people, the whites, are afraid of. So give extra to your favorite sex workers who are Black, because we are working really fucking hard. That's it.
I feel like you nailed it. Kitsu, if there was something you wanted to add to that, please, by all means. That was
I'm just not
perfect.
realizing that I didn't advertise my business. Like I definitely am
Yes.
trying to make lingerie and shit
Yes.
based off of nerd designs.
Let this moment be for
Yes.
okay.
I
we can-
most definitely did not mention that I.
Can we?
Yeah,
I'm
am a
sorry.
business owner.
Let me just. I'll be right.
Let's talk about where we can find more of each other's work and where you guys can support us, starting with the incredible Kitsu and their incredible robes. I am getting one. Oh, I want one so bad. Like I see it, I'm just like, that is a husband killing robe. I want it. I want to wear it.
My goal is to make do like a
I see it.
like a donation type thing for like sex workers, where it's just like I give away like free robes for like sex workers. Like
I just had to get
I will totally
comfortable.
tune in. Yes.
It looks so pretty,
especially with the green hair. Look at all
Ah.
that. Yes, that is a whole vibe.
I could not find neon green marabou feathers, and I'm really mad. I can only find lime green.
This is
It
wonderful,
came out
and
great.
All
It
right,
came
so
out
yeah.
perfect.
let's talk. Continue.
A geek in bougie. That's my business name. I make bougie robes. I'm trying to also get into lingerie, but that's hard. Or more like I'm more insecure about the way that I see sizes, because I'm just like, it's too big, it's too small, it's not, covering enough, it's not covering not enough. Like that's just me and my complicated brain. But I'm out here making these bougie robes like you just killed your husband and took all his money. I hold raffles. I don't have a shop open yet. I'm just doing raffles for now. Eventually I'll get a shop. Eventually I'll get like a donation, donate a robe to your favorite sex worker type situation going on. But yeah, that's all I gotta say.
All right. And Maki, where can people find you and your brand?
I'm all over the internet. If you want to follow me on the Twitters, that's where I mostly am these days, because Instagram just demonetized me. Fuck you, Instagram.
Saw that. Oh god.
Yeah. So you can follow me on Twitter at MakiRollOFC. And if you want that sweet, that nasty, that gushy stuff, onlyfans.com/MakiRollOfficial. If you are interested in Nerdlesque, you can follow the production of the Nerdlesque Festival, produced by moi at the Nerdlesque Fest everywhere on the internet.
Yes. And guys, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys can find me at Jack Attack. I talk very openly on social media about what I do. If you guys have questions about that, if you guys want to know more in-depth things, you guys can subscribe to my private Snapchat, where I can answer more of your X-rated questions that I can't answer on Instagram and other social media. And yeah, you guys can find me all over again at JAXJX All the information will be down here. Guys, everybody, ladies, gentlemen, they, thems, thank you so much. Afro Comic Con, thank you so much for having us and working with us. And we sure hope you'll have us back next year. Before I introduce myself, I'd like to introduce I'm sorry, Kitsu. I'm just looking at you and you're just so comfortable. Yeah. I love it.
I'm a foreskin.